Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever it is that you are, wherever you may be. Thank you very much for making us a part of your day. I am Brad Franklin, the creative content writer here in Chesterfield. I'm very glad to tell you that Chesterfield Behind the Mic is on the air once again. It's hot outside. There's lots to do. And what better thing to do this summer than go to a concert? And we're going to talk about a concert series that you can go to right here in Chesterfield County. I'm joined today by Matt Krieger from After Hours. Matt, how are you?
Great, Brad. Thanks for having me.
Very glad to have you, man. I appreciate you coming on. We're going to talk a lot today about After Hours and what that is and how people can, come out, go to a good concert, see a show right here at home. Before we do that, I want to talk a little bit about sort of what After Hours is and sort of your role in it. So can you tell me a little about sort of your affiliation with After Hours and kind of where the company started and all that kind of fun stuff?
Yeah, sure. So a lot of people that know me just a little bit, I'm the behind-the-scenes guy. However, overseeing the whole thing from the part where the band is booked,
right, to
the part where it's executed day of show, customers are happy, the artists are happy,
right,
and it's just a good old time out there.
Now, the company After Hours, it was your family, right? You and your dad started this number of years ago in Innsbruck. Isn't that where it started?
Oh, we did. So we're Event Makers USA, and we did business as and doing business as After Hours concerts. And we started doing the concerts at Innsbruck in 2013. That was our first season, and we took it off running then and just tried to grow it each year.
Right. And so it started at Innsbruck. I think, some of the things that I guess from a land use standpoint, right, that they decided not to have the concerts out there and then moved up to Meadow Event. Is that where the next stop was from Innsbruck?
Yes, that was the next stop from Innsbruck. We moved to Meadow Event Park, more ample space,
right.
Better parking, and we were able to bring a bigger production on a much larger stage.
Right. And so then tell me a little bit about sort of how it landed in Chesterfield. What was the match that struck there? How did Chesterfield come on y'all's radar?
Certainly. Well, Brad, for quite the last, I'd say, few years, we had a bunch of people associated with Chesterfield County, very involved with Chesterfield County, approach us.
Yeah.
And we liked possibilities that we saw a few years ago, not knowing if those possibilities were going to be where we ended up.
Right.
Last year we did a test run, and it was a beautiful test run. We did 2 shows at the Chesterfield Fairgrounds, and this year we were able to move with Chesterfield County, definitely headwaying that for us.
Yeah.
To the River City Sportsplex
yeah.
on Genito Road.
Now, when you're looking at a venue for potential, where you're going to take a series, what are some of the things that you're really looking for, and what was it about the Sportsplex that really sort of hit home for you guys?
Well, the Sportsplex has got a lot of already permanent things in place. Our back of house is going to be executed with ease.
Yeah.
We can definitely satisfy the band's back of house, and then, of course, most importantly is your space for the front of house, the patrons themselves. And similar to Innsbruck and Meadow Event Park, we have a lot of space out there where we can do what we've done. We can get the customers that reserve seating experience where they're a little bit closer to their favorite band that they want to see, have their general admission field, plenty of space for them to bring blankets and lawn chairs,
right.
as well as set up hospitality areas where they can even enjoy the show with food and beverage.
Yeah. Now, in terms of you line up a series like this, you got to find a venue that works. You got to find obviously a sponsor and all that fun stuff. But I'm just curious, take me a little bit behind the scenes in terms of getting the acts, right? Do you target how does that process work in terms of finding the bands and the artists that are going to come and be a part of the series itself? How does that sort of work out? Do you have bands or artists that you kind of circle and you say, hey, this would be great if we get these folks, or how does that work out for you guys?
Sure. So there's been several bands over the years that I have circled, and we've gotten several of those, and I have a couple more up my sleeve. At least I hope it's that way when I finally announce them. It's a tricky world out there. Not a lot of concert promoters are doing what I'm doing.
Right.
And that's for the obvious reasons. Finding the band is most important.
Right.
The bigger the band, that the more people you're going to have. And, we get the routing updates constantly. And if they're routing and it's a band that we believe can sell the tickets, then we're going to go ahead and try to get them.
Right.
And then, of course, there's exceptions. I mean, we can fly in bands on special holidays, for example, if we ever do something with July 4th,
right,
which we'd love to do. And, the talent world, I never say never to any artist. Any artist is on the table.
Right. Now, in terms of the Sportsplex, before we get to the lineup of the shows that you guys have planned for the summer, I want to talk a little bit about sort of what folks can expect if they come out to the concert. Whether that's one of the early ones, one of the later ones in the fall, or somewhere in between. What's the capacity going to be at the Sportsplex? And talk to me about sort of maybe the amenities and kind of go along with a little bit of what you were talking about earlier with the reserved seating and things. What's the experience going to be like for folks who come out?
Sure. So first off, the capacity for the Chesterfield shows at the Sportsplex is 7,000.
Okay.
Now, those people that are buying those reserved seats, getting closer to the artists that they want to see, that capacity up there is 1,000.
Okay.
And obviously, they have a very intimate setup up there. They don't have to leave the area. They have gold circle bars, as we call them, where they can just stay in the area when they need to go get a beverage. They're really not missing the show at all. They're staying up front in their seat.
Gotcha.
And, of course, they have restrooms up there. And then when you go further back, you have that nice, ample lawn where they can lay out their blankets, bring their lawn chairs and the general admission seating, and enjoy the show from a cheaper ticket.
Right. For those of you who are watching the podcast, you're seeing right now a rendering kind of layout of the way everything looks, with the stage and everything kind of laid out for you. You'll see where Matt's talking about with the different areas and things like that. So you can see that it's not just a field. And I think for folks who are concert goers, the idea of going to a show, you don't want to just you're not just in a field. You guys have a stage set up. And we were kind of talking a little bit about, beforehand, some of the complexities of mobile stages and how hard that is. Can you take me through sort of the stage situation at the Sportsplex and sort of what the vision is for how that'll all work out?
Sure. So we stuck with familiarity with the stage at the Sportsplex. We took the stage that we used at Innsbruck.
Okay.
And that is the same exact stage. It's a 60 by 45. Plenty of room for the artists to obviously unload their gear. And obviously for the footprint, too, for the fans that are especially seated in that intimate reserved seating.
Right.
They get an excellent view up there as well. The sound arrays themselves will be set up outside the stage structure itself, and it's going to sound great out there.
Right. Now, in terms of putting this together, we talked a little bit about sort of putting together the list or the slate of concerts is always tricky because you got to find the right acts, right? You got to find the ones that the folks are going to respond to. What went into these specific acts? And we'll take you through the series here in just a second. But I'm just curious, what was it about these acts that really stood out to you as you put it all together?
Well, you want to book the bands that are going to sell the tickets, but also it is a season lineup.
Yeah.
So we have artists that I would say cross over on the multiple genres. We should be able to please the music fan of any genre that's in the community.
Yeah. They start on July the 22nd with Aaron Lewis and the Stateliners. As somebody who was a big Stain fan, early 2000s, Aaron Lewis and where he's gone with his career. That's an interesting choice for the first one. I'm not going to ask you to add commentary on each one. I'm just going to add what was it about Aaron Lewis to really kind of to lead things off? I would imagine when you put this together, that's a big spot, right? The first one to get things going. What was it about that act?
So the first show for our new venue in particular, you want to come out of the gate swinging, and we've had success with Aaron Lewis.
Yeah,
we've had him a couple times at Innsbruck, and we actually had him last year in Doswell, and I had a few fans that are season passes up in Doswell, very upset that he's coming to Chesterfield, but they'll be buying Chesterfield and coming to Chesterfield, which is great.
That's great. So then July 27th, Collective Soul and Switchfoot. That's a heck of a show between two bands with a lot of tradition there. Two bands have done pretty well. For this one, and again, I'm not going to ask you to comment on every one, but here you've got two different bands. How do you manage when you've got two different acts that are sort of like co-headliners? How is that different from when you have just one artist that is kind of everybody's coming to see that one? What's the balance there when you put something like that together?
Well, in my world, it's important to know that it is a co-bill.
Mm-hmm.
You obviously treat each band the same from a
Right.
marketing standpoint. That's critical. They want to see that. And also on the fan perspective, it's pretty much an equal crowd that's going out there.
Right.
You're going to have an equal number that want to see Switchfoot.
Right.
You're going to have an equal number that want to see Collective Soul. And, with a co-bill and these bands being professionals, they're going to do set limits of at least 60 minutes, 75 minutes each.
Right.
And the fans are really going to get the experience that they're paying for.
Good deal. So then on July the 28th, you get ABBA the concert. You got Government Mule coming August the 5th. 38 Special on September the 18th. October 14th, you got Roots and Boots with Colin Ray, Aaron Tippin, and Sammy Kershaw. And then you close things out with Little River Band on October 15th. I would imagine, like we talked about, the first one is obviously a big deal, but how you close things out for the slate, I'm guessing, is a big one too. What went into picking or to lining up Little River Band for that last slot?
So Little River Band is definitely a band that has obviously so much history. Went to the hit stop.
Yeah.
I never had a personal booking, okay?
Right.
But they were available, and it just made sense.
Right.
And, I'm not buying a ticket, but I'll be right up there enjoying the show with everyone else that day.
Yeah. I really hope in your position you don't have to buy the tickets. That
Yeah.
something has gone horribly wrong if you
Right.
do, right? In terms of the series as it stands, certainly, you mentioned earlier you guys did sort of that test run with the 2 shows last year at the fairground. Now you have your venue. I would imagine this is something that you guys really hope to sustain for a long time. What are sort of your plans going forward? I would imagine, right as we get close to the concerts themselves happening, that there's a lot of T's that have to get crossed and I's that need to get dotted before you get the thing off the ground. But how early into the planning, looking ahead to next year, are you already in, and what does that look like for you guys?
So we came in when River City Sportsplex became a possibility and then got firmed up, and we decided 8 shows for this inaugural kickoff season.
Right.
That being said, the possibilities moving forward for number of shows and the kind of artists we're going to get, it's really endless. We're already doing 25 shows out at Doswell, and I can certainly see this Chesterfield market embracing this and us doing 25 shows right here in Chesterfield County.
Cool. Now, is that something you could see happening, right away in 2023, or is that a 2024 and beyond sort of goal?
I think it takes, times to build. So
Right.
we did 8 this year. We could do up to 12 next year.
Right.
And each year is just a succession of bigger and better.
Right. Last couple of questions for you. I would imagine because the Sportsplex is predominantly a sports, as the name suggests, right? A predominantly sports venue, that there's a lot of jostling for position, right? There's a lot going on there. And I can imagine for you guys to try to, put on more shows and take up that real estate, that there's, some significant sort of calendar and scheduling challenges. How far in advance do you have to go in order to lock up that space for a certain amount of time?
We try to start 2 to 3 months
Okay.
in advance with the preparations. And you bring up a good point. We're going to work with our neighbors here in this community.
Yeah. All right, last one. And I'm just curious, if there's one artist out there who is like, you will feel like you have achieved some significant, career achievement, right? So something huge for you if you're able to land them and bring them to one of your venues. Who's that artist? I'm just curious, and why.
Well, that would just have to be the Rolling Stones. It doesn't get any bigger than that.
You think we can get Mick in Chesterfield?
Yeah, you get Mick Jagger out here. I might try to have a 5-minute conversation with him myself.
Well, Matt, really appreciate you coming on the show. Obviously, folks, we've shown you that graphic at this point to visit, and you can check out, if you're listening to this, the podcast app of choice. You're going to have a link there as well for how to buy tickets for this. But Matt, thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, let's get you out of here. I want to thank Matt for coming on the show, and I also want to thank everybody out there for listening. If you want to check us out on social media, on Twitter, it's Chesterfield VA, and on Instagram, it's Chesterfield, Virginia, all one word. You can also check out our Facebook page. Just search Chesterfield Behind the Mic. Now, let me tell you about all the ways you can check us out. You can watch us on our YouTube channel, as well as on our website at Chesterfield.gov/podcast. An audio-only version of the show is available there, as well as on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast, and a whole host of other services. You can also watch the show on WCCT Thursday through Sunday at 7 and on the weekends at noon. That's Comcast Channel 98 and Verizon Channel 28. And lastly, you can check out Chesterfield.gov/connect with us for more ways for you to get in touch with us and for us to get back in touch with you. My thanks to my director, Martin Stith, and everybody here in Communications and Media for making this possible. My thanks to you for checking us out today. So, from all of us here in Chesterfield, thank you very much for making this a part of your day. We'll see you again real soon. Take good care.